y'all doing? CJ Moto. I just want to do a quick run through of some of the features here on the app for the Autel Evo. Alright, I'm just going to be kind of pointing around and you can follow me. So down here at the bottom, you can actually just move this around with your finger, which it took me a while to figure that out. So some of the cool stuff here, I typically would keep that on manual mode with the format, and then you could just click on resolution, change that around. I usually keep it on 1080p because that's the easiest to upload to YouTube and such and still have a good quality. You can change your frame rate and all that stuff, and then you just click back into the main screen to go ahead and get out of that. Now I keep it on auto, but you can fool around with that as well. But one cool thing that you definitely want to mess with is the color. You can do vivid, black and white. You can change these colors up and get some really cool things. So definitely mess with that. I like the vivid a lot. I use that often. So you can get to the color. I don't mess with the auto white balance, but you can do that. You can go ahead and click on the digital zoom if you want to, and you can mess with that as well. Anyhow, that's that bottom graph. So that's just always kind of down there, and it's always easy to access. Now, moving to the right of that, you got this little camera with the thing in it, the little tool in it or whatever. I'm not an expert in all this stuff. I don't really mess with this part at all. The grid, center point, histogram, any of that. But that is what it is. If anyone wants to comment more on that, feel free. Now above that, you have the little button to change from picture to video. And then moving on up from that, you actually have a button that you can press to turn your video on, which I just did. Turn your video off. You could also just use the one on the controller, which is typically what I do. Above that, you can click on that and it'll give you all the pictures and videos that are on your SD card at the time. So you can scroll through your pictures on your SD card, and then what you do is you can go to album up there, click on album, okay, and then you can actually select a whole album if you want to, or whatever you want to do up there. So for instance, if I were to select this album, you can hit select, and you could do select all or select certain ones. And then once you select them, you can hit that download button up in the top left hand corner, that second one in from the left, and that'll download the high quality images to your phone. Up from that, you have that little circle thing up there in the top right hand corner. When you click on that, you have all your, this is your main settings screen right here. So aircraft settings, you've got your compass, your flight mode that you're currently in. You can calibrate your compass by hitting calibrate. Vision sensors, it just basically tells you some information down from there, more or less. Flight control, you can go into novice mode or out of novice mode. You can hit your go home altitude. That is very, very important. You want to make sure you set your go home altitude for an altitude above any type of anything that's going to get in your way when you're coming back. The tallest tree, the tallest building, tallest whatever, water towers, whatever's around you, you want to make sure you set your go home altitude higher than that. So what's going to happen is, if you lose connection or if you hit go home, it's going to instantly rise. For instance, right here with me, 250 feet. The maximum looks like it is 656 feet. So right now I like to keep it around 250. It'll get to 250 and before it returns at all. Also, make sure to remember that if there's anything above you, you don't have over the head sensors on the Autel Evo. So if you lose connection and you're underneath a tree and it goes to that go home altitude, it's going to smack into whatever's above it. Speed mode, you got standard, precision. Okay, precision's for low speed flying. You can change the speed limits from 2, 4, 7, and 9. That's for making very nice pictures and stuff. Standard mode, you can click on the speed, change it from 11 to 22 to 34. Ludicrous, It's super crazy, only available in 45 miles an hour. Okay, so usually you want to start out, a good starting point would just be standard mode on 22 miles an hour. After you do some of the flying on novice mode, obviously. Altitude limit, top altitude for an Autel Evo is 2,624 feet. You can scroll that down or up. Distance limit, you can actually set it to where it can only go a certain amount of distance from you before it'll stop itself. And then advanced setting, you can turn on and off your front LED indicators, and you can change your exponentials. I don't really mess with either of those, I just leave them be. Okay, from there we got, so that's everything under flight controls. From there we got visual navigation. You can turn off and on visual optical avoidance, and that keeps your quadcopter from hitting things. And then down here to show the radar map, that'll show you your obstacles in like a little radar pattern, how close they are in feet, as well as a little radar screen. And then down here in advanced settings, you can you have downward vision and positioning. It says the downward vision system helps the aircraft hover when the GPS signal is weak, so that's self-explanatory. Landing protection allows the aircraft to detect ground conditions as it lands. And accurate landing, that basically, I believe, takes photos of where you take off and land at and makes it even more accurate when it lands. So yeah, those are good stuff to know about. Next from there, remote control. I pretty much leave that as it is. Image transmission, you can go down here and mess with your megahertz, 5, 10, and 20. I usually leave it in 10. I have messed around with it, don't really notice any difference. Image transmission, you can go from normal, high def, and smooth. I usually like to try to do high def. Sometimes I'll have it in normal. I haven't really messed with smooth at all. Battery, that's cool. You can go into that and it'll tell you your voltage in all three of your cells. You have a 3-cell battery on your Autel Evo. Right now we're at 4.178, 179, 177. That's good. You want them to all be close together. If you have a battery that's 4.178 and one's way off, then that means your battery pack's bad. You want to send it back into Autel, get it replaced, have them inspect it. It tells you the temperature of your battery, remaining capacity, amount of discharge. So this battery's been discharged 10 times. You can set your critically low battery warnings and your low battery warnings. And then you can set your time to where it automatically discharges. 6 days, 7 days, 10 days. I'm going to set it to 8 days. Battery details, serial number, yada yada. Okay, from there we got our aircraft battery screen. Gimbal, I always keep it in stabilized. You can also do FPV mode. I haven't messed with that at all. And then you can do your exponential. That means how fast your gimbal moves with the little dial on your controller. 100's really fast. Gimbal auto calibrate, that calibrates your gimbal. General, you can make it set your home point for either where you're at or where your aircraft takes off from. You can change your stuff to metric to imperial, miles per hour for America. We are in America, so we're doing miles per hour. Firmware versions, you can check on what they are. You can show your aircraft coordinates if you so choose, and that covers all your settings. X out of that, settings are done. You can click up here on this top bar, and it'll come down and tell you how many satellites you are, what mode you're in to the left, how many satellites you have, your controller signal, your image signal, your battery life, and how many volts are in your battery. From there, you can go up here into standby where it says that, and when you're flying you can change from camera, dynamic track, viewpoint, orbit, and waypoint. Those are all special flight modes. I'm not going to get too into that. I might do that in a separate video. I don't want to make this too terribly long. And you got your little Autel emblem up there, and then this will tell you your different firmware upgrades, which look, I'm actually due for one. All kinds of cool stuff in there. But yeah, let's go back Into that, hit go fly. So yeah, that's your little Autel symbol up there. You always want to check that. Go fly. X out of that. Let me get back into go fly. And let's see. You can also click on the screen and swipe up on the screen, and it'll take everything away if you just want to have a full picture and not have any of the other stuff, and then put your finger in the center and swipe down, and it does the opposite. Over there's your gimbal, and you can actually set it instantaneously to 30, 45, 50, 60, and 90 degrees all the way down. Go back to 0. You can just do a quick gimbal pitch if you don't want to use the controller. So that basically sums up all the controls on your Autel Evo app. Very easy to use. Once you get used to it, it's very, very nice. I think it's easier to use than DJI, and you also don't have to worry about flight restrictions, and you can go 2,600 and some odd feet instead of 1,600 feet, which is really cool if you so choose. Let me get back into this Autel Evo app. I was trying to figure out how to get it to go back to giving me the option there. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it to let me do that update again. But anyhow, I hope you all enjoyed that video. It's a good little overview. It's good to understand everything that your Autel Evo is capable of in the app, basically. And I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like and definitely subscribe to my channel for more great content. I'm gonna have more RC adventures, and I'm gonna eventually get probably a 5th scale to rip around, so you have to watch out for that as well. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an amazing evening. CJ Moto out.